Hi, hello, welcome, Doodle Crew. We've missed you, but we're back. And we are very excited about it. I'm sorry. I really am. That sounded a lot less enthused than I am. I think it's because the food that I just inhaled is finally starting to uh, get energy back to my brain. So maybe by the end of this, I'll be back in fighting action. But hey, you know what? It wouldn't be a random generated episode if I wasn't being random. So there's my amazing segue. So today we're using random character generators. Uh, there are two that we picked from. So we've each rolled up some characters. So Kia, I will send it to you. Introduce yourself. Tell people where they can find and follow you. And let's hear about these characters.
Yeah, so I go by Kia or Kia Creations pretty much everywhere, mainly Instagram, but also Tumblr, Twitter, all that good stuff. And I just was playing around with the character generator. I'm pretty sure I'm using the same one that Emily is using, and I have 3 characters. I'm going to start with a gentleman called. We're going over what the characters are, right?
Yeah,
We're reading
yeah, yeah.
off.
Yep.
Okay. We're doing a Wallace Jones. He's an 84-year-old angel. He's from Leeds. He only can smile when the weather is hot. He has crazy gray hair, and his biggest fear is being killed by a duck.
Oh, I love him.
He sounds like a darling.
He's
I
so
have.
good.
I know. I'm excited. I don't get an opportunity to do like older characters that often, and they're always kind of really fun because their posture's so different.
And you can work into the cracks and crags and details that you don't usually get to if you're drawing younger characters.
Although with the crazy gray hair, I can't stop thinking of like Back to the Future. So I don't know if I'm going to lean in that direction, but we'll see.
Oh, that could be fun. Okay. Oh, I'm so excited.
Okay, I also have Jamie, who is a 19-year-old magical author who is addicted to caffeine. Usually wears false eyebrows, and his top quality is that he is particularly colorful, but he has also been wrongly accused of murder. they always slip in the weird thing at the end of these generators. I kind of love it.
Yeah, there's some tragic backstories happening to a lot of our characters, and I kind of love it.
Oh. So my last one is the one that I might have to actually do as my middle one because I don't want to miss doing her. So her name is Erin Roberts. She is from Saturn. She can only drive when she's facing north. She has troll hair, so I'm assuming that means like troll doll hair.
I hope
That's
so.
what I'm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Strongly dislikes kangaroos and is striving to redeem herself after pushing a rhino off a cliff. Which I don't know how I'm going to illustrate that part of it. Don't think I've ever drawn a rhino in my life. So we're learning together.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I have once, but it was very much like I'm looking at a specific reference picture and I'm just copying it. And that's as much rhino as I've ever done.
Such a weird looking animal.
It is. Oh my gosh, I love that. I'm so excited. Yeah, so hey, I'm Swan. You can find me all across the internet at a Swan named Emily. Also, if you want to find more Doodle Crew, we are at Doodle Crew Draw all over the place. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. This episode notwithstanding, usually I try and promote when our episodes are going to be, but I got my schedule all mixed up. So yeah, I'm going to try and do better for next time. But if you happen to miss an episode, you can catch all of them. They are all available on my YouTube page, sorted by season. So yeah, that's us. That's me. Let me drop my thing in. I'm spoiled when Mayor Squish is here because she does all of this for me. Yeah, so I rolled up 3 different characters, of which I'm very excited about. And I dropped it in chat. If you want to play along with us, you can go to character-generator.org.uk. That's one of the ones we're using. That's the one I think gets us a little bit more fun. I do have another one if you're looking for one that kind of gives you a little bit more just in physical attributes, but these are just a couple of the ones I've found. There are tons of them, and there are Simpkins mentioning a random video game title generator. There's ones that just generate names. There's so many. Hit me up for a list if you want to know more. But my first one is Moira Lloyd. She's Moira. I'm like, okay, I'm in. She's 17. She's a good teenager. Is her identifier. She's a good woman from Toronto who can only fly after she has eaten a banana. She usually wears a shoulder parrot. which I like. She is striving to redeem herself after stealing a loaf of bread whilst on holiday. So she's a good.
Complicated character.
I know she's a good teenager, but she's got that one mark on her record. So this
Redemption for Moira.
yes, please. So this one I used the other generator, so she doesn't have a name, but we'll have to come up with a name. But her description is standing 6'1" tall. This fair-skinned woman has a cold-hearted feel about her, and she has a large tattoo on her neck. Her hip-length, shiny gray hair, currently dyed cyan, is unkempt. She has large brown eyes, a square face, and large ears. She has a long neck and straight hips. She just
That one
seems
is very good for like illustrating in your head.
yeah, like that one really I was like, "Oh, I can see her. I like her." So she's in there. Like I said, this might work into its own world building. We might not make it to cross all those bridges. But my final one, who I kind of love. So his name is Kennedy. He's Kennedy Lopez. He's 32 years old. He's a fascinating father. Is his descriptor. He's from Perth. He is obsessed with ghosts. Physically, he is built like a collection of sticks, which is the most insane description of a human I've ever heard. And I don't know exactly what it means, but I'm excited about it.
And imagine it means like spindly, like, you know.
I was thinking, but also I was like, is he just like round? I don't know. Yeah.
He just has things jutting up everywhere.
He's Groot. He's actually just Groot. His biggest fear is growing old alone. His purpose in life is to prevent the apocalypse. But like, how fun is Kennedy? I was like, oh
Kennedy's got a lot on his stick shoulders.
Yeah. So, have you ever read any books by Christopher Moore? He did Bite Me and Dirty Job. I'm blanking on some of the other stuff.
No, I don't think I have.
He's fun. It's definitely, I highly recommend him as an author. And but that's the kind of character that he would describe. So like I'm reading this, I'm like, oh my gosh, I could see this character being in a book. So yeah. There we go. There's all of our challenges for today.
That is fun. I will say that the character just not nearly as cultured as relating to the way an author writes. When you mentioned your last character being obsessed with ghosts, me and a friend just rewatched Danny Phantom like this week. So when you said that, I'm like, oh, okay. Now that's all I think about.
That's fun. I feel like that and Fairly Odd Parents and kind of like a chunk of those from that time were really underrated and really good.
Mm-hmm. A lot of those, like the like early 2000s Nicktoons or Nickelodeon shows ended up being pretty darn decent.
Yeah.
I miss them. I mean, there's good ones now, but I can still miss them.
But it's different. I feel like, we had all of the shows that, I was catching up on from the 80s and then all of the craziness that came out in the 90s and then the early aughts. Like each decade has its own feel and has some absolute gems and some absolute ones to pass on. But yeah, I don't feel like the themes and the styles stay the same. They change drastically.
It also felt more condensed because there were only so many networks back then, and now with streaming services, it's like there's a network and then there's also streaming platforms and then there's also indie releases. And it's like, oh, but there's so many different places. Before that was a nice little hub.
Yes.
Which, yes, stifled creativity. But as a kid, it felt like more.
Yes.
There we go.
All right.
Let's see if I can't draw a Wallace.
All right, okay, so while we're jumping right into this, so when you're reading through, your descriptions, and before we went live, we were joking about some of the other ones that it had spit out for us. Like, what's your game plan when starting with something like this?
Well, from the sentences that we saw, there was always going to be one or two words that stuck out to me. So in this example, it was the duck thing. And that equals something that I can attach an emotion to. So fear of ducks. And then also age. And so now I have fear and now I have age, and that allows me to kind of create a pose. So from that, I can kind of move forward into how I want the drawing as a whole to kind of function as. I think that's what you were asking.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then obviously when it comes to the actual drawing, starts with like a spine or something like that. The body.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have like a body type, so I'm making him like cute old man.
No.
Pudgy.
Oh, I like him already. No, I enjoy the fact that all it takes is certain words or certain phrases that will kind of immediately give me a picture in my brain. And then it's kind of playing with that. And what I think is fun about a random generator like this is I'm going with my very first inkling, like what my brain immediately jumped to, and that's the character that I'm designing. If I was actually building out this character for a show or for a comic or something, I would start with this, but then he or she would go through a few iterations before I finally landed on something.
Mm-hmm. I will admit, though, I do have, when I do characters, I always have an issue where I don't always, what's the word? I kind of stick to my guns sometimes when I know I shouldn't, about like, no, this, when you first gave me the character that you wanted me to design, this is what I saw in my head, and now I can't like deviate from that. And then every iteration therein still has like the skeleton of the original.
Mm-hmm.
And I've definitely, sometimes I'll have, a director or someone who's like, look, you let it go. But there is always kind of a, I don't know, it's not a I want it to be there. I do it completely subconsciously, where I don't even realize that I'm keeping the original design that I saw in my head to the detriment of the design of the character. So just being very honest right now in the fact that sometimes in character design, that's kind of a failing I know I have of letting go.
I'm so happy you said that, because I definitely get that when I'm reading a book and a character is described to me, and either I misread it or something happens and I'm not totally paying attention, and then they will give me other information or something that contradicts what I had in my head, and I'm like, no, you're wrong. That's not what you told me before. So
that's not the character. That's not my character.
That's not my character. And we're not even going to get into when, movie and television adapts things, because that's a whole separate thing. But from what you said, I run into that getting stuck in them sometimes when I'm doing logo design. Like, I'll have this, I'm like, no, it's this. I want to work around this concept because it's a good concept. And, sometimes it's the client is like, no, but I want to try all these other things. And I'm like, no,
you don't. You
got
don't,
it.
though. I know you don't want to. You just think you do.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey.
I'll do that with logo too.
Yeah. And I think it's part of it too, because often people who came to me who hadn't done a lot of design were flying very blind and really didn't know what they want. So I would kind of take what they had said and build something. I was like, oh no, this fulfills all the things that you asked for. Like, it emotes this, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, well, now that I've seen it, now I know what I want. I'm like, great. So we're starting again is what you're telling me? Okay.
Let me think.
Okay.
Oh, it's R. Oh, I'm going to give him slippers. It wasn't in the description, but I...
Oh, it's so good. He's so fun.
Character design does make me nervous, though. Like, it's one of those things where always when you do art, you have to warm up, and I know that when I do character design, I have to like warm up as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll almost like hold off and I'll do like 7 character designs at once, and then I have to go back to the first one because obviously that's the one that needs like the most fixing.
Yes.
But if I try to do like, oh no, I'll do a character design like a week or something, it's like, no, then they're all crap. I like a good analogy someone told me when I tried to describe this was like making pancakes and you have like the first garbage pancake.
Yeah. Yep.
So that was, I did not come up with that, but I thought that made a lot of sense. And I don't know if you're that way as well, where like the first drawing you sometimes know is not going to be good, but you just kind of got to get it out.
Yep. 100%. And I was running into that recently when I was streaming, when I would get busy doing stuff in the morning and then all of a sudden jump on stream and I'd be like, I haven't warmed up at all. So whatever I draw first, we're probably not going to keep, but I need to at least draw something to get started. Yeah, it's, and I obviously I have found, if I can get into the habit of drawing every day, that means that first sketch isn't so rocky at times, but I still think that there's some, it's going to sound gross. I was like getting up and blowing your nose in the morning where you're just like, you got to get all the gunk out first before you can actually like start working through the ideas. I like your pancake one much more because
I was going to say that's kind of a more honest one though.
Yeah. Sometimes there's just a lot of garbage stuck in there, and but that's what I was getting for gears. Yeah. No, and I think where I sometimes hinder myself is I don't give myself enough time in sessions to sit and really play and work into, and some of that is just because I'm on a deadline, or when I was doing logos, there wasn't time to work on them as much as I would like. But there can be some really fun changes and adaptations to characters if you can like set it aside for a little bit and come back and visit it, whether it's the same day or whether it's another day. Which I hear is great. I can never do it because I'm always like,
I was gonna say, you're describing this and I'm like, I don't want to disagree, but that doesn't sound like my...
Oh no, it's what I'd love to do. It's never what I accomplish. I'm like, nope, I'm going to sit and for 6 hours, I'm just going to grind until this thing is done and then we're going to move on. So
I really need to stop doing that. Like not just for drawing though, but for like anything.
Yeah.
I try to space out my day, and no matter what, it's still the last like few hours I have is crunch time, and it's like, how? Yep. I even did everything I could to prevent crunch time. How did this
but why?
Get away from me again?
Yeah. I feel like at a certain point I shouldn't still be surprised, but you know what? Gosh darn it, I still am every time.
Why am I like this? You look at yourself in the mirror in the morning. Why are you like this?
What up, Kurt? Hello. We are doing some random character generators. Drawing random characters. I don't know. I did not actively plan out how I was going to refer to this episode. So
we are drawing randomly generated characters.
There we go. That's how words work. All right. Back to my description. Implantation of gray hair. It's unkempt.
Out of curiosity, since you were talking about character generation, what is your thought? Do you like or dislike or even struggle with other people's characters? Like, for example, I know you get commissions a lot, and I'm assuming sometimes because people ask you to draw themselves, but that's not necessarily a character. But if they do ask you to draw like their OC or something, is that something you enjoy doing, or is it more just like, no matter what, I'm not going to get this right? Because, it's them.
So, portraits are challenging. I would definitely say there's a lot of stress over that. Like, if I am just drawing the human, like the cartoon version of a human. And I still have flashbacks to our college years where we had like there was a course you could take. It was like a workshop where you could learn how to do caricatures.
Oh, I
Of
took that
which,
workshop.
yeah, I'm
And I
garbage
learned
at it.
I can't. Nope, not for
No.
me.
And I feel bad because I see people doing them and I see people loving them and I see the artists making great money and doing it fast. And, it's just never going to be me. So I'll say, like, I have had a lot of people come to me and be like, yeah, I want a caricature. I'm like, you don't want me. Let me show you what I do. And they're like, oh, yeah, no, that's what I meant. I'm like, okay, yes, I'm going to say it more as it's a cartoon version of you, but it's semantics. It's fine. Just don't come to me and expect traditional caricature, because that will not be what you get.
Oh, I didn't even know that they were asking you for caricatures. Yeah, that would be stressful.
Yeah, super stressful. So back to your original point. My actual preferred way of designing characters is taking someone else's character and bringing it to life. I prefer to when I make comics, have someone give me a script and bring that to life. For designing, like usually D&D parties, like I love listening to someone explain their D&D character to me because it's personal to them and they know the ins and outs, and there's this really really cool, like, bringing it to life in my head as I'm listening to them tell me about it or reading the summary that they provided for me. So I actually really really love that. I think left to my own devices, if someone's just like, okay, you're drawing, create a character randomly, and I'm like, I have forgotten everything that makes a character and can only draw a stick.
What is nose?
What
Don't
is
know.
nose? I don't know how bodies work. So yeah, so I really enjoy it. My one little caveat to that I will say is there are times when people come to me, and I don't know if it's just because I was competitively priced or what, but they give me their idea, and I look at all the things on my table at my convention booth, and I'm like, you picked me for this idea? You want this, like, great, like, Lovecraftian horror gothic thing? And you're like,
I was gonna say, is it like a Gundam or something that
oh
they
my
want you
god.
to draw?
Oh, I didn't have to draw a Gundam, but I had to draw a Yu-Gi-Oh card that was like a stone golem robot thing, and I'm like, why? I can't draw this. This is terrible. Why do you want me to do this? So yeah, once in a while, I'm just like, you just picked someone, didn't you? It doesn't have to be me. It could have been anybody. But it's fine.
You wanted this drawing. You didn't care who it was by.
Yeah.
Which that always makes me wonder. It's like, because if you're gonna, because I've commissioned artists definitely multiple times, but I know that being an artist, I'm kind of choosy on the art style, and it's like, did you just pick anyone? Do you genuinely think I can draw what you need me to draw?
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's very strange sometimes because I'm like, no, if you're curious, because I think at this point I have a fairly specific style. I was like, all right, if you want to see this thing that you have in my style, that's awesome. There are times when I'm so surprised because I'm like, I don't feel like this is the correct fit at all. Is it just you're excited to see your character brought to life? Which, hey, you know what? If that's the case, then awesome. And if it's because you're like, hey, I can get a steal from her because she didn't price her commissions high enough, then, I respect that as well. I think because I'm assuming, at least like many other artists that I know, I have trouble pricing my work and my commissions. And I had a very specific turning point with a customer once who he turned to me afterwards. He's like, this is awesome. I love it. Your commissions are way too cheap. And I'm just like, oh, when the customer says that to you, clearly I need to change my prices. I'm like, shoot. Okay. All right. I'm going to work on that, but thank you. Shoot. Yeah. Moral of the short answer after my long rambles, I love bringing other people's characters to life.
For the few commissions I've done where they've given me like a very detailed description of their like original character, sometimes they want like a friend or girlfriend or boyfriend or someone in it. Yeah, it's always very nerve-wracking because I'm not good at faces and making the faces look like the person. And no matter what, I'm not going to reach the image that they have in their brain. And then also it's hard to sometimes, like if they're like, oh, I want them to have like a purple top with like this green stripes and then this pink skirt with this like orange flower pattern. I'm like, please don't make me draw that. Please don't make me commit that abomination to, color. I would really much like not to do that. But you have to, because they asked for it.
Yep. Yeah, there's definitely... It's tough too, because I never want to be rude to the people, but I kind of want to tell them, like, this is a bad design choice. We shouldn't do this. This is a poor decision. Let's change that.
I think it also depends on how much money they're offering and like what your timetable is.
100%.
Sometimes you're just like, yeah, sure, let's rock it.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can make this work,
Well, and too, with certain things, it was like, if this is just a silly one-off and they just need it for a present and it's really, like, no matter what I do, it's going to be fine, then on those, I'm just like, yeah, all right, whatever. Throw your whole crazy list at me. We'll figure it out.
I drew my duck. And I tried to make it the most unassuming duck.
I also love it. I think it's because it's hidden behind where your webcam is, so I can't see it yet, but I'm very excited to like the reveal of it. Oh my god, it's even better than I thought it was going to be. Look at the face!
I didn't realize that it was hidden, yeah.
No, it was perfect, because like all I got to see was like his fear of it. I was like, oh, that's so good.
Oh my gosh, you are so much further along. Wow.
Oh,
you have like whole body proportions done.
Yeah, but they're real rough. They're super, super sketchy. And I don't know if I'm sold on them yet.
So are you doing all three now, or are you...
I think so. I think I was sketching them out to see if any of them like really, really hooked me, where I was like, nope, this is the one I'm now going to super focus on. So... That's right. I don't know what a parrot looks like off the top of my head, so I got to go look up a reference. That's the other thing, too. I love when people come up to my table and they're like, hey, can you draw this? And I'm like, if I can find reference on Google, I can draw it.
Right?
May or may not be good, but I can, for the basis of your question, yes, I can draw it.
I'll have to do that for the rhino. I will say that I am very confident I know what a parrot would look like, but that's only because parrots are my literal favorite like YouTube TikTok thing.
Oh,
I'm obsessed with parrot and bird videos because they're just such funny little creatures.
They really are.
I had parakeets, and I understand that I do not have the lifestyle to be able to take care of a parrot, so I would never get a parrot, but oh my goodness. They are such funny little things. There's this one parrot, when he laughs, he sounds like a human, like an evil Disney villain laugh. Is my favorite thing.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
But yeah, rhinos not so much. Okay.
And it's so funny too, because, and I mean, I loved it for the episode we did where it was just draw from memory. But it's funny because there's stuff I'm like, yeah, in theory, I know what it looks like, but unless I've actually physically drawn it, a lot of the times I'm like, I have no idea. I can't just pull this out of my head. I don't know what that looks like.
I wasn't part of that one, but was that doing animals or was that doing the mascots?
So from the draw from memory, it ended up being Mike, who is Future X Skeleton. he brought us all Hanna-Barbera characters,
Okay.
which, hey, you want to know which characters I'm real rusty on and don't remember what they look like? It's Hanna-Barbera. I was like, oh my gosh, I have such vague memories of these characters and I have no idea what they look like.
Some of them are part of that whole Mandela effect thing too, I know.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, you're drawing them the way you think that they are, but that's not the way they were.
Yeah. And there's somewhere I was like, oh, it's got to have this thing. It definitely had the thing. And then I look it up and I'm like, it doesn't have the thing. And I'm like, what am I thinking of? Yeah, I think I keep making the parrot look evil. I don't want to. I want him to be cute. Oh, I had two thoughts. One of them was my only real experience with in person meeting people who had birds. Like, they were getting ready to move or something. I don't know. They didn't keep it super clean, so the house smelled like animal, which I don't care what kind of animal you have. If you don't take care of it and don't clean it up, any animal refuse smell is going to be gross.
Yeah.
And it was just like, they were a lot. Like, the birds were a lot. And I don't know if that's just because they weren't getting, properly entertained or what, but it was a lot. And I was not prepared for it. So it was intense. But
birds are pretty intense and loud. You got to be okay with screaming.
Yeah. Which is also the reason why I don't think I'd ever own a husky. I'm like, I need you to not scream at me right now.
I love huskies. But yeah, I understand. I love them because of how dramatic they are, but I also understand that I might not be prepared for that.
Yes. Yeah. Goes into the ones where I'm like, I don't mind house sitting this for a weekend. I don't want to own this for a lifetime.
I am fine watching TikTok videos of you screaming at your neighbors and you getting a bath at the animal spa, but nope, don't need you in my life.
Yep.
God, they're so funny.
I do love when the human is telling them something and the husky is just, talking back, and it's so good. They're so good. Also, yes, everyone in chat, I love dark mode. All of my programs that I can run in dark mode, I do. My phone is set to dark mode. I feel very strange when I will borrow someone else's phone and be like, why is it so bright? It burns. I do know that other people do not do that for all of their apps.
I am not in dark mode. Dark mode is too dark. I need all the light and all the bright. And I know I am an outlier.
Well, I know, like, for certain things, some of it was just being able to actually, like, visually see it and really be able to see what you were working on. And I find what I run into is, like, low light in convention centers when I'm trying to draw. Like, that will really get to me, where I'm just like, it's like dusk almost, and I just can't quite see what I'm doing, and that really bugs me.
Yeah, that'll give you a headache after a while, for sure. Just those fluorescent lights are not helpful.
No.
They also, like, I can't seem to focus my eye a lot whenever I'm having to deal with those kind of lights.
Yeah. Yeah. It just, like, especially if I'm inking and it's something kind of intricate, like, my eyes will lose focus and it'll just get real fuzzy. And yeah. Jesse says, Pets need to have an equivalent level of chill to the owner. Yes. Which I'm very happy that my cat has taken on the hey, let's just relax and take a nap on the couch level, because I am very much at that level.
Was she not always at that level?
So I haven't owned her whole life. She was an outdoor cat for a bit. She was a stray, and then she's a mom of 7 kittens at one point. So I
Aw,
think
mama cat.
I think that's why she's extra chill, because she was like, oh no, like the kittens were everywhere, and now I'm like, we can just be quiet and watch the birds out the window. Yeah, let's do that.
I kind of love that. She's like, no, you don't want me to be this way. I don't want to be this way.
Yep, we're just gonna not. And I was like, you know what? That's a great outlook. Oh, the slippers are perfect. I love it.
I'm gonna play around with the colors a bit.
Okay, can I ask a stupid question because I don't remember? Was there something in the prompt for him? Was he an angel? Was that
Oh my gosh, thank you. I forgot I have to give him little angel wings.
Because I was like, it was such a random, like, for everything else about him, it was just like, oh yeah, and by the way, he's an angel. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, I meant to give him little angel wings, and then I think I got stuck doing everything else.
This is the thing. When it comes to character design, especially for someone else, I'll get so focused on my drawing, I won't necessarily go back and reread the prompt, and I'll get to like a chunk of it, and I'm like, oh, I got it, I've nailed it. And then I look, I was like, I've completely forgotten that they actually only have one leg, and here's a whole bunch of stuff I'm gonna have to erase now. Yeah. So, reread your prompts, folks, is my word of wisdom for that.
I had that with a character that I was designing for a client, but it had to do with their personality. So we had the writer who wasn't able to come in for a meeting and this whole thing. So they're like, well, go ahead and just design the character anyway, and then he can kind of give his 2 cents. And I did. And he's like, well, okay, the design of it, when the writer finally came back and he was able to look at everything, it ended up being one of those like, no, none of this will work. And it ended up being because while the design itself would work, every single pose she was in was against the personality they had for her. So even though the design, the hair, the clothes, the face, everything is fine, I had her be very confident. And he's like, no, she's actually very shy. She's very introverted. She wouldn't stand like that. And like, oh, so I have to redesign, not redesign, but redraw everything.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of work, but it was also a good reminder that I default to certain poses with certain designs.
100%.
And I should probably remember to double check that.
Well, and I think it's that interesting balance of being fast at stuff. So you kind of have like, okay, if I just really need to finish a character really quick, I have like a strong female pose. I have a little kid pose. I have a couple of those that are just kind of stock in my brain. And like you said, if I'm not actively paying attention to it, I'll just default to doing that.
Mm-hmm. And that is exactly what happened.
I do enjoy, though, when people give you feedback like that and they're kind about it. They're like, no, it's really great. We just need you to change everything. And you're like, yeah, okay. Oh, sorry, I can do that. Give me a few
It's
minutes.
good except for this. You just gestured to all of it.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. I remember, oh gosh, it's been so many years. I was going to say, it was a post I saw on DeviantArt, and I couldn't tell you the last time I was on DeviantArt. But it was
when you say DeviantArt, I know it's a post from a while ago.
But an artist I really liked was illustrating comic pages. And I don't know if he had illustrated all of them, but he was definitely coloring all of them. And he had this whole page that he had finished. And his commentary was about how he's like, I had to go back and completely redo it because even though it was an interior, it had a lot of windows in the scene that were affected by the light outside. And he had set it in the middle of the day, and the setting was actually at night. So now he's got to switch everything and make it, illuminated by the inside lights. And it was just one of those, he was like, no, it was completely my fault. I just forgot to go back and check what time of day it was. And so, yeah. It's good. It's fun. I will say a nice part about getting more comfortable in my art and in my art career is that huge changes like that don't derail me as much as they used to. Because usually at that point I'm like, okay, I can see how I can change it. I can fix this up. I should be able to find a way to make this work.
I had a similar, little bit more, I don't want to say nihilistic, but a little bit more negative, but kind of on that same realm with someone. I think it was actually like my dad or someone like that, and they were angry for me when they heard, because I think that we were out to dinner and I got the email and it was like, oh, we really like what you have, but you have to change all of it. And he got angry for me and he's like, that's not fair. Like, they should find a way to use it. Like, you put all that work into it. And I had this mentality, which, we're very used to the mentality of, well, I'm getting paid regardless. I'm getting paid for the first edition. I'm getting paid for the changes. It doesn't really bother me to demand a change because they're paying for that change.
Right.
And yeah, it kind of stinks that this drawing will never see the light of day. Literally no one else except for the production team is going to see it. But at the same time, it's not my drawing anymore because they own that drawing. There was a lot of characters that are just never going to be used. And yep, they're, unless there's a creator concept art book that comes out,
Right.
unlikely. It's never going to see the light of day. So it gave me a lot of thought after the conversation of like, I have this idea, and this is a very obvious idea in our industry of like, yeah, obviously you don't own the art once they buy it. They're paying you a salary kind of thing. But then it was also like I do feel kind of bad that I don't feel bad about that. Should I?
Honestly, I think that's a healthier way to do it because I feel like if you were putting so much of your own like person and creativity and ownership of these characters into it, it would one be a lot harder to make changes, and two, if someone like went and took it and then you were no longer on that part of the project and someone else then took your character and did a ton with it, like I think if you were still so attached to them, I think that would make it very difficult for you to move on. So I think for the commercial art aspect of it, it makes a lot of sense. And I think it's probably healthier.
Yeah, kind of like necessary, but healthy.
Yeah.
I had uh, I went for a job opportunity once, and this was many, many years ago, and the person was a very much a fine artist, and they were a sculptor, and they were talking about selling out and being a fine artist, and then if you go work commercial, like you don't make your own art and then sell your own art, and it's 100% you that you're selling. Instead, you take a commission from someone, and they were talking about how that was like selling out. And I had this moment. I was like, oh yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying, huh? And then I left, and we never saw each other ever again. Kind of both understood that we're from different worlds and didn't quite work. Anyway, but yeah, I had this moment where I was like, oh, is that what selling out means? Is you're not making it for yourself, you're making it for someone else. So you're not selling you, you're selling. I'm not even sure if I'm describing it the right way, but I had never given a lot of thought to what the definition of that means when people use that term.
Yeah.
But if it just means being a commercial artist, it like kind of makes me think a lot. Like, is being a commercial artist selling out? I didn't think so.
Well, it's the only way that I'm selling anything, so here we are. I
But
guess
it kind of goes in with the whole like, well, once you're paid, you don't own it, so it's not yours. So I don't feel bad if it gets changed.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Versus someone who like takes ownership of their art.
Yeah.
We get deep on this channel.
We do. And it's usually unexpected too, which is what I love about it. I think that a lot of it has to do with expectation. And so I always go back to the gentleman whose name I don't remember, but he's who spoke at my college graduation, and he was an architect in New York City. And his
Hmm.
whole thing was, yes, it should have been interesting. It wasn't. It super wasn't. Um, yeah, I'm so bitter about that. Hi.
Fair,
Hello.
fair.
Hello. But anyways, like first off, he did the thing where he's like, um, I'm going to keep it short. I'm going to keep it sweet. I'm going to make it funny and, we'll get out of here. And then 2 hours later, it was not funny. I was like, okay, well, that was good talk. But his whole thing was, if you want to be an independent artist in New York City and you want to sell your stuff and open a gallery, like you do that. And it hit so strange to me because we went to an art tech school. My goal was to go and become a part of a production team. I don't think that diminishes my art any. I don't think that means what I create is any less authentic or any less creative. But my whole goal was to become a part of a pipeline and to work on a certain aspect of something and then hand it off to someone else. Or once it left my hands, it wasn't going to be finished and it was going to go somewhere else. And so, like, there was this weird thing of, I was like, yeah, but I'm never going to be that type of artist, nor is it what I want. Like, now I was like, oh no, could it be cool to have a whole gallery exhibit that's all like all comic pages? Yeah, absolutely. I'd love that. But I still feel like that's a very different take on it, because no matter what art I'm making, my goal is to be consumable, whether it's a sticker or a comic book or something like that. I'm like, I want to mass produce these things so that many people can enjoy them. I don't want to just make one painting that one person owns. So, Kat, you're sitting on my pen.
I think that's a really amazing, like, healthy mentality. I think that's a good way to, like, word it.
Because I think selling out has such ugly connotations to it. And Jesse Betts in the chat makes a good point. It says selling out equals being able to afford food. Like, at a certain point, have I made art that didn't ignite my inner soul flame? Yeah, because I needed to pay my rent and I needed to buy groceries. So yeah, I did a whole lot of football logo designs. You know what's not new? The football. There's not a lot of new things you can do with the football. But hey, I still got paid to do them. So I'm sorry. I need you to move because you're sitting on my things.
Don't move her, you monster.
I know, I'm sorry. Yeah, Kurt, that's a good point. So it's part of it being a job. At the end of the day, part of my art life is my job. And so, parts you love and parts you don't. But, and like, so I always reference Deadpool, and it's not because I have anything against Deadpool. I enjoyed his movies. I've enjoyed him as a character. He's not one that I automatically draw when I'm sitting down to draw. But if someone wants me to pay me to draw Deadpool, I could absolutely see that as looking like I was selling out because you're just drawing the popular thing. I was like, yeah, you know what else is cool about the popular thing? It sells. Someone will buy it. You know what they don't buy? My super obscure thing that's a crossover of two unrelated fandoms that nobody knows what it is. So, all right, you're gonna sit there. Okay. If you bite me while I'm working on the keyboard, I'm going to be mad at you. Yeah, sorry. Apparently, I have a lot of thoughts on this. I don't like the idea of fine artists being the only one who can claim. I don't want to say be real artists, but that there's somehow something different between the art, something different in the value of it between the art that they create and the art that we create. Like, just because my goal is to make a sticker that has a happy little dildo on it doesn't mean that it's any less valuable than this thing in a museum. But. Okay. Hi. You are so cute. Yes. Jesse says massive respect for taking that degree mill school diploma and making an art career out of it. Yeah, they tried their best not to not to have us do it, but we got the one up on them. You seriously stop sending text messages on my phone.
The cat?
She puts I have it up so I can see the stream manager, and she put her nose on it, and the little assistant was like, "Hey, how can I help you? You want to send a message?" I'm like, "Nope."
Let her talk to the people.
So, going along these lines, because now you've activated this unskippable dialogue that we're having.
Wow,
So,
I tried to make it happy by talking about birds and huskies, and we went on that for tangent for as long as we could, and then eventually we sink down into the metaphysical.
absolutely.
Like, what is art?
So I always think of when people talk about selling out, I think of musicians immediately. And it's if you have country artists who were traditionally much more country themed and start making a pop album, or if you have an indie artist who's a folk artist and all of a sudden they make a techno album, like I feel like that scene is selling out. And it always bothered me because I'm like, maybe this was just the music that spoke to them and that's what they wanted to make. But also, it's not the end of the world to make something that you think is going to have commercial success.
Right?
I would hope it's not your only motivation. But hey, you know what? If it is, okay. Like,
I bring it up because, well, lots of reasons, but it's one of those things that I've never quite been able to grasp. There's two big concepts that I think selling out is kind of an older thing. You don't really hear that as much anymore. But it was definitely a thing I remember hearing back in the day, like when we were starting. And I didn't quite ever grasp what selling out meant. The other one was the imposter syndrome. I never quite could grasp what imposter syndrome was. And I've had a lot of people explain it to me. And it just never stuck in my brain.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of what selling out, like you said, maybe that's just what they enjoy. And if it is a commercial success, or if it just happens to be, what is also popular, why is popular mean selling out as a bad thing?
Yeah.
I know, for example, I don't do nearly as many like cons or commissions as you do, but I enjoy when a character's like, oh, can you draw this character from this show? And I genuinely love drawing in other art styles.
Yeah.
Like, I'll find any excuse to be like, okay, I can draw it in my art style, but I don't really have too much of my art style. But I'm like, no, I really want to try replicating like the Steven Universe, Cal Arts art style, or I really want to try doing like this artist's art style. And I enjoy that, but maybe that would be considered selling out because, you're just making money off of, popularity other than your own art. It's like, no, but sometimes I don't want to deep dive think that hard.
Yeah. Sometimes I don't want every piece of art to take all of my spirit in making it. Sometimes I just want to make a stupid fluff piece that doesn't mean anything.
Not every dinner has to be filet mignon. You can
exactly
eat a hot dog. It's fine.
It's really fine. No, and I think there's even the people who tout, the masters of fine art and stuff like that. I'm like, just gonna pick on him because he's the first one that came to mind. Picasso went through a whole bunch of different art styles. You look at his early on stuff, he was hyper realistic. He drew beautiful still lifes and life drawing. Like, he didn't just start where he's most famous from. Like, it's an evolution. And so to say that I'm only ever going to draw things in my own style, I was like, that really cuts off a whole lot of other options for me that could be amazingly creatively fulfilling.
I also think people sometimes are too focused on finding their own style. It's like, just draw.
Yeah.
But that is coming from a person who never felt like I had a style, so I never focused on it. But I have a couple friends who are self-taught artists, and it's like, wow, I really don't like my style. I really want to try to change it, but this is like, what I always draw as. And it's like, well, have you ever tried drawing in a different artist style? And they're like, no, I never would do that. I have to find my art style and stick to my art style. And it's like I get it. It's a marketability thing. Like people come to you because everyone could draw. To bring up the analogy you said, like everyone could draw Deadpool, but people come to you because they want to see Deadpool in your style. And I get that totally.
That's interesting, though. Hi. I feel like you're setting up to chomp on me, and I'm living in fear here, Kat.
Would that be part of your character description?
Yes.
Is afraid her cat will chomp on her to get to the phone.
Yep.
Oh no. Where'd my push go?
Oh, I had something off of what you said, and then then I got afraid, and then I forgot.
That's fair. Teeth are sharp.
And I give her a lot of credit. She's got great like claw and bite control, and she's very good, but it always startles me, and I hate that. So
we could also change topics too.
No, it's good, and I think it's important. Like I think once in a while it's really nice to have kind of a step back and think about, why do I look at art? Yeah, what is art? Why do I think of it the way I do? How has my particular journey impacted my views on art and all of that? I think that's very important. I do like in chat SDF Network, which hello, says, I can't imagine only playing one style of music. My interests are too broad for that. Like exactly, and I feel like you have the people who to do a really weird pull. So you've got the lead singer of Slipknot who made really heavy metal music and then broke off and did Stone Sour, which is much more, I would say, alt rock. And while it's still living in the rock genre, it's much less like full face of makeup and full masks performative. It's a very different tone shift to the actual music itself. Like, I have to believe that was something that his soul was like, I need to create this type of art now. And the current way that I make music doesn't allow for that. So I'm going to do something else. No, I think giving yourself permission to still play and have fun as an artist is really, really important. I think if you lose that and just get into the, okay, I have to make this art now and I have to make it this way always, like, I don't know. I feel like that's how you would eventually lose the love. Tell you what I don't love is color theory, because I'm crap.
I love color theory.
I know. I'm super, super jealous of your color theory because you make it look so easy.
So. One of the things I can do, so I'm going to do it. Can't draw elbows, apparently, but I can color.
I had an elbow day the other day where I'm like, why? I don't know how these work anymore. Why? Like, nope, it's not. Today's not an elbow day, apparently.
Like the no bones day. It's a no elbow day.
It's a no bones day. Oh my goodness. And to answer your question from earlier on SDF Network, we did a random character generator, and it generated some fascinating characters for us. So we are bringing those to life.
I'm finished with what was his name? Wallace, and I've moved on to Jamie.
Yay! Thank you, Guardian Randy. He likes my banana woman, which is nice. Thank you.
She is quite fetching.
Thanks. Well, once again, we'll circle back to something a little bit lighter. We were talking about how like one idea will stick in your head or something like that. And even though the banana thing is only slightly mentioned in mine, for some reason, then I was like, I gotta put her in a yellow dress. Like, she's just gotta be in a yellow dress. And then I kind of just built the idea off of there. I was like,
One word was enough to make it her entire character model.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah, Jamie was just... Oh, get off. The little menu won't go away. Jamie was described as a drama student. So I'm like, oh, well, that means they never walk normally and they always dance wherever they go. I have met drama kids.
I see you. I know you.
Clearly, if they're going to get anywhere, it's going to be 5, 6, 7, 8 steps.
Oh, gosh. Go. Shoulder parrot. Just there is one someone so fast and real punk for us. Should we slow it down? Oh, that's so fun. So SDF Network was saying at band practice yesterday, there's one song that's really fast and really punk. And for S&Gs, sorry, yesterday we slowed it down and turned it into almost a country song, which is so much fun. Like, talk to me about my deep, deep love of like pop and techno covers of heavy metal songs. Cause it's the complete opposite, but I super love it. So yeah.
You do a lot of dancing now. Are you in like theater or anything?
Theater, no,
When you were younger?
but dance performances, yes. So I'm active in a dance studio, which is where I take classes and where I teach classes. And we put on once a year, we do a story ballet, and I'm excited. So this year we're doing The Little Mermaid. But because we are charging admission for it, it is not Disney at all. So I'm very excited to see what the story is going to be. But that gives me the opportunity to still do all the dance that I love, but usually get to play some sort of character, which is about as close to actual acting as I ever get.
Can we ask what character, or is it a secret?
So I have not found out yet. So
oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm excited. We'll see. We've done Little Mermaid before, and the last one that I remember, I was essentially, and it's because it is a all levels and 8-year-olds and up. It's still audition based, but we are very much a community art center. So there's a lot of skill levels and there's a lot of littles who appear in it. So there's some of these where like characters get added in so that we have dances for students to do. So I was like the club owner. So essentially, rather than Under the Sea just being a song that Sebastian sings, we went to a specific place so that we could have a club dance. So I was the octopus that ran that. But it meant that I got to do swing dance. I danced to Octopus's Garden, which is super, super fun. And then I also danced to Under the Sea. So yeah. So it's usually fun. The last one that we did in 2020 before the world shut down was Cinderella, and I got to play one of the wicked stepsisters, which was
that had to be a fun role.
It was so much fun. It was so much fun. I friggin' loved it. So, and I think so. We had a number of dances, but I think my favorite one is the girl who was the other sister with me. It was the jazz hip hop teacher. So she choreographed a whole song to Billie Eilish's You Should See Me in a Crown. So we did this really like dark jazz hip hop dance to that, which was so cool. But it was a whole like, motivation wise for my character, like I want the crown. I want to be married to the prince. And yeah, so I like that this studio lets us not just do strictly ballet because I am not a ballerina.
But then also to do something just super creative like that.
Yeah, that's
give you guys your own little song.
Yeah,
to a pretty fun beat.
Oh yeah, yep. No, it was it was very, very fun, and I'm so happy that we got to do it. Oh, SDF network. That's a beautiful sentence and challenging to say. Idiosyncratic juxtaposition is fun for all. They're fun, chewy mouth words.
These mouth words are stale.
Mm.
I do like the word juxtaposition. There's not enough chances to use it day to day.
Yeah.
It's a fun word.
It is a fun word. I also feel that way about hyperbolic. I'm like, oh, I like it, but I never feel confident to use it. Like, is this that? Is it? I don't know. STF Network. Oh my gosh. Says, I do a Queens of the Stone Age song on the banjo as a waltz. I need to hear that. Do you have a way you can send that to me? I need it. Also, one of the dances that I teach is waltz. So,
Okay.
yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah. I as far as teaching goes, I primarily live in the social dance side of things. So I teach East Coast swing, ballroom, and waltz, which is a lot of fun. I like social dances.
I, on paper, know how to waltz. I know all the steps. I've done all the dance class, and I've done for tango and all those too. But I have an issue with the actual like execution of it because I keep thinking I understand what it means to like lead and follow, and I'm like, okay, I'll follow. And then maybe I've just had really bad partners or something, but then they just like don't move. So it's like, okay, do you want me to get this ball rolling? So I've had a lot of issues with, maybe, I'm assuming it's me. I'm going to just make that assumption. And with the whole lead and follow, because if I'm just like miming it, I can do it, and I can do it with the group and everything like that. But then you give me a partner, and I don't know. I haven't grasped that part of it yet.
No, so because I teach the leader part and the follower part. So I know how to do both elements of it. Unfortunately, that means that when I'm dancing as a follower, I still have the leader information in my brain. And if I'm dancing with a newer dancer or a weaker leader, I have the tendency to, it's called back leading. And what it is even though I am meant to be the follower part, I will start controlling how the movements go. I'm getting better about catching myself about it, but from a educational side of it, usually it's the mark of either a very nervous or very inexperienced leader. And for the area that I'm in, for the students that I usually encounter, I get a lot of female students who have taken dance before or who are more game to take dance and brought their male partners along with them who are not so game.
Yeah.
So very steep curve, and I feel bad because when it comes to the initial difficulty of learning the dances, there is more pressure on the leader than there is on the follower, because not only do they have to initiate and lead the moves, they have to plan the moves ahead in their head. So not only you are now focusing on your feet and your arms and your head and how these steps go together, you're also thinking about, okay, I need to lead this movement on the step right before we start the next step, and then I need to figure out what we're going to do after that. And so I have a lot of grace for brand new leaders because it's incredibly challenging to jump in and be a new leader.
And that makes a ton of sense because, yeah, it's a lot for them to take on, especially if they're just there because their wife talked them into it. We will not embarrass ourselves at our wedding first dance kind of thing.
I'm coming for you, Jessie Betts. I'm coming for you. No, I've had a number of students who show up drunk because they are so nervous. And I've had to pull some of the female partners aside and say, okay, you need to be nicer to him. And
Oh,
they're like,
good
but
for
he's
you.
not doing it right. I'm like, I know, but it's a lot. And you need to cut him some slack because he's here for you and we're gonna get through it. So I will do a lot of switching partners, which is good because it allows new people to develop the language to talk to their partner about what is and isn't working. Like when I say, okay, you need to have a strong frame, and when I move forward into your space, you back up out of that space. Yeah, sure. Verbally, that makes sense. As I said, words that make sense. But if you haven't experienced it, it's very hard to conceptualize what that actually means in a dance space.
Mhm.
So by switching partners, like different people lead different ways and they learn at different rates. So it's if people are willing to do it, it has been one of my more successful teaching tools to get people to kind of come out of their shell a little bit and find their comfort in how they want to lead.
See, that makes a lot of sense, and we're not even dancing right now. You're such a good teacher.
I really love it. I got to choreograph 2 first dances this year and I friggin' loved it. It's so much fun to me, and sometimes I have to kind of rein in my excitement because I'm afraid of scaring the couples. So I'm be like, no, too much. I'm like, too much, pull back. But it's really fun and it's really special. And my whole goal is, unless you want to go on to dance competitions, this doesn't have to be anything more than something fun. It's something fun that you and the person you're dancing with are doing. You work together as a team, you succeed together as a team, and hey, after 3 minutes you're done and you never have to do it again if you don't want to. So.
I guess that's true too. Like, you only have to do it now. It's not something you have to like get better at consistently.
Oh,
nail what you need, and at least for like first dances and stuff, I guess.
Yeah. And a lot of people who come and see me are coming because they want to dance at their child's wedding or they want to dance at their own wedding. And I was like, there are so few people who know these dances well enough to dance them themselves. You could do very little and it looks like you're doing a ton and people would be impressed, because there's also a lot of people who are too scared to get up and dance at all, or just uncomfortable and don't want to do it, which is fine too. But like, there is a level of just by you getting up and dancing in front of people, you're already heads and shoulders above a lot of the other people. So, we can go out there, we can do 3 simple steps, dance for 2 minutes and be done, and people will be impressed.
That's true.
So,
and then you only have to worry about it on your anniversary.
Exactly. No, it's really fun to me too to see like couples who start to learn how to work together and like troubleshoot with each other and work to get better. Like, that's really cool. It makes me very, very happy.
You're helping them build memories.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of goes in with what you were talking about before when we were talking about art. Like, you're creating something good that people enjoy.
Yeah. I like that you said that. That makes me happy.
Well, with like, whether it's drawing Deadpool or whether it's teaching them the waltz, it's making people happy with things that you're creating. It doesn't have to be a dance you designed or a character that you made, because it doesn't matter, because you're making people happy.
Yep. And I think that feeds into the not every hobby that you have has to be a money-making hobby. And I am aware of me saying that and the fact that I've turned most of my hobbies into careers. That's not the point here. Don't come for me, chat. I know what I did. But also, like, if you just want to dance for fun and once every 4 years you come back and take beginner class with me because you want to refresh and dance a little bit, and then that's as much as it is, like, there's a really beautiful thing about that. You don't have to be a professional athlete. You can just go to the tennis court and play tennis. Like, I think that idea sometimes gets lost, and especially in art too, like you said, if it's just bringing people joy because I'm teaching the same box step every class, like, that's okay. Yeah, I'm coming for you, chat. we're all in this together now. Yeah. Also, we've been talking about TikTok. Like, I watch so many amazing dancers on TikTok, and I'm just like, that will never be me. As much as I might practice, that'll never be me. And it can be really hard sometimes because I'm like, I wish that were me, but nah, that's okay. All right. Kennedy, do you look like a bag of sticks? I think you do. Kind of.
I also imagine a bag of sticks being like, don't we have it's a bundle of arrows and a bundle of wheat on like the dollar bills and things like that, and they're very much like hourglass shaped. So it could also just be like a bony hourglass. But I still think bundle of sticks is like, he's made out of sticks.
He's actually the scarecrow. Surprise.
Actually, yeah, that probably makes a lot more sense. Just looks like a scarecrow.
SDF Network, I'm not sure if it's exactly what you were saying by it, but what I will say is there's a very low bar of entry, and if you want to learn how to dance, if you want to learn how to partner dance, you should go learn how to partner dance because it's super fun. And hey, if you live near me, come take it from me because I'm delightful. Here's my pitch. Oh, geez. All right. Well, now he's clapping back at us. So SDF Network wants to know, when did we discover that art was what you were meant to do?
Oh my god.
That's
like a stub your toe on the dresser when it's dark out. That's what that felt like, that question. Like, god damn.
Great question.
Said through clenched teeth. Great question.
Great question. There are no bad questions, only bad people. I don't know.
That's a good clap back.
I think meant to do is tough. You want my sarcastic answer? Is that I was very much and still very much am a jack of all trades and a master of none. But I'm the most master at art, so guess that's part of what I was meant to do. I think for me, it was what I kept coming back to that I couldn't let go of, and what made life better than a lot of other things. Again, I don't know if that's what I was meant to do. I'm sure I'm good at other things and probably would have had a lot less stressful of a life if I had chosen something different. But I go back to movie quotes and I just can't quit you. So clearly I'm in a very abusive relationship with my art, but
healthy coping strategies.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All it. I think because with everything else I've learned and everything else I've done, this is the one that I kept getting excited about. I kept getting excited to learn new things, to discover new techniques, to level up my art in new ways. And it was the one thing where no matter how I feel about it, good or bad or stressed or frustrated or elated or any of them, it's the one that I keep coming back to every day, and that feels right. So, yeah, I think that's it.
Feel good about that?
I feel about as good as I do about my art most times. So yeah, I think we're good. Oof, yeah, we're gonna hit publish and we're gonna walk away. That's how I feel. It's, and I don't know, because I know, Kia, you have family who are artists. Like, there was a part of me growing up where I always knew I wanted to do art. Like, I knew I wanted to go to art school. I knew I wanted, I mean, for me, for a long time, it was animation until I realized that I was not good enough to be an animator. Reality. But I didn't, like, I remember sitting in my high school guidance counselor's office, And she's like, oh, I see that you're not taking any math and science your senior year. I'm like, yeah, I want to take the last few art classes. I've taken every other art class, but I have a few more I'd like to take. And, maybe have a free study hall. I didn't, but it was a funny pipe dream at the time. And she's like, oh, well, you really need to take math and science. I'm like, why? Like, I know which school I want to go to or the schools I want to apply to. I want to do art. And she's like, well, what if? And I'm like, no. No, there's not going to be any, oh, I suddenly changed my mind and it's going to be science.
I'm a ride or die on this, man.
Yeah, I was like, no, I'm in. I'm bought in. I'm confident in this thing. I'm a 16, 17-year-old who's not confident in anything, but this one I'm pretty confident in. So I think it was, once getting out of school, it's been a journey to figure out what part of art I was meant to do. But the being in art was always where my life was planning to go from even when I was little. So, yeah.
But that takes a lot. It's actually, because I remember it was probably on a Doodle Crew stream a while ago, but it was when you first mentioned that, realizing that, oh, you went for animation, but animation isn't necessarily what you wanted to do. So you were able to transition, but it was still very practical for you. Very, like, it might not have been exactly what you wanted, comic books, but you still got stuff out of it when you were like doing storyboarding. I remember that was part of that discussion where when you were introduced to storyboarding, you're like, oh no, this is it.
Yeah. No, that was a huge aha light bulb moment where I was like, actual animation, which I want to love, I'm not good at, but designing a storyboard and designing a flow of something and telling the story that way, this makes sense and this feels good. So I'm very much poke the button, get the cheese type of rat brain. So I'm like, oh, that felt good and I got cheese. Let's keep doing that.
What a beautiful insight to yourself. What type of person are you? Are you like positive, outgoing, glass half full? I'm gonna poke the button.
Poke the button, get the cheese type of person. That is me. Yep.
Some people go their whole life without that sort of self-realization. Oh, beautiful. That's beautiful.
Thank you. Oh. But yeah, hopefully that kind of answers your question. Also, thank you, Ace Cat, because I always forget that there's more to the quote. It says, the full quote is, jack of all trades, master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one. So, yeah. What I tell my students, especially my middle schoolers and my early high schoolers, is, they ask me about my job and my career in art. And I said, well, I teach art, I teach dance, I teach digital art, I paint murals, I illustrate comics, I make stickers, I sell online, I stream. Like, there are many facets to what it means to me to be a professional artist, and that works best for me. And I've realized that I think I've just taken Kennedy and I've just made Taika Waititi is really what my inspiration is coming back to, because I was like, oh, he's from Perth. So, which is not where Taika Waititi is from, but it's where this inspiration has started to move to.
Perth?
Yeah, he's from New Zealand, but I don't know. Admittedly, I don't know where he's from. Right. Mm-hmm.
Oh no, there we go.
Oh boy. Oh, good. He's from places in New Zealand that I cannot pronounce. Moving right along. The Perth, Australia is, it's on the coast. It's Western Australia. Oh, okay. Good to know.
Started trying to make it look like it was actual lines, and then I remember, nope, thespians have the worst handwriting, so you don't get that.
Oh, the hair's so fun. I love it. Okay, also just funny kismet things. So I'm reading quick facts about Perth, Australia. capital of Western Australia, sits where the Swan River meets the southwest coast. I'm like, well, that's just meant to be. Bless you. Yep,
I'm pretty much basing this character off of a guy I knew who was a thespian, and his name was Will Mott, but everyone called him Applesauce. If you don't get a nickname, you're not included in the family.
Right, right.
So I'm just kind of basing this character off of that. Because I was never in like musical theater. I was never in any plays. I didn't do that side of high school, so I don't have much first-hand knowledge.
Yeah, I was only tangentially in the theater crew. And it's because I was one of the few people who could dance. So I was frequently in the dance numbers.
I don't know if it'll work, but I want to give him one of those things. Do you remember when you were a kid and you'd get the oversized T-shirts, but you wanted to wear it, so like your parents would tie it into a knot on the side, and sometimes it would be this like plastic buckle thing that you would use to tie it into a knot?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I don't know if that's called something, like a style or something, but I'm kind of feeling that.
I like it. Here. Also, that gives such great like clothing gather drawing lines, which are fun.
Right? I liked that style because you could have an oversized T-shirt on the top, but like then it looks like it's form-fitting on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Where did those go?
Talk to me about like every camp T-shirt that I ever got that I then put like a rubber band and tied it in the back so it wasn't, hanging to my knees. Okay, I gotta go back and reread the description. Okay, fascinating. Earth obsessed with ghosts. To prevent the apocalypse. Yeah, like I want to do more with this character, but I'm having trouble figuring out how to represent some of his uniqueness visually. Oh, let's give him. When in doubt, I'm going to give him a prop that describes him. Ha ha! He's going to have a notebook that says ghosts.
Is this the one that was with the Ranjan or the other one?
This is what?
The character. Which generator did you use for this?
Oh, this
the Ranjan one, or
yes, yep, this was Ranjan. So this is Kennedy Lopez, the fascinating father from Perth, who's obsessed with ghosts. He is built like a collection of sticks, which is just still so great to me. And his purpose in life is to prevent the apocalypse.
It's all order there, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah. I do remember the curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back thing. It's so funny to me that so many of those phrases and idioms, you only seem to learn the first chunk of them. It's the same with
the blood one.
Yeah, I was just thinking the blood one, and I was like, wait, let me see if I can say it.
Blood is thicker than water is actually the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb, which means the complete opposite.
Yep. Yeah, it's, where it's supposed to be like, no, your family first, and it's like, actually, it's your found family, not your blood family. But
well, in that one, it's specifically like your religious devotion to the Catholic congregation. But yeah, found family.
Yes, I think blaming Shakespeare is probably accurate.
For most things.
All right. So I guess we're gonna cross streams a little bit. I'm gonna give him a towel to channel Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where if you're dealing with the end of the world, don't forget to bring your towel. Also, not the actual quote, but
Jelly bracelets. Not part of character, but they get them now. And be caught dead without a bunch of jelly bracelets.
That's how. Okay.
Oh, that's right. I forgot one of the. Is this the one character that's from Saturn?
Oh, one of them
that's,
was. That's the other one.
Oh, yeah, that's Aaron Roberts. That's the Rhino Pusher.
Maybe like on Saturn, like rhinos are an invasive species.
I like this. We're bringing context to something that doesn't need context. Good,
Yep,
good.
Yep. This is how we world build. Thank you, D&D. All right. How do I hold the book? So much cat hair all over my microphone.
That did not look right.
So I guess throwing it back to people in chat and specifically you, SDF Network, how did you know art was going to be a part of your life as much as it is? This also extends to anybody else who'd like to answer.
What are flip flops? Flip flops are so hard to draw.
Oh my god. For how simple they look in real life, they are awful to draw. They never look right.
Hate that. When like the simplest thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, I know what you look like. You should not defeat me.
I'm gonna call this Ghost Notes. Yeah. Just get that arm to look right. Hope y'all enjoy me just drawing and redrawing the same arm over and over again.
Is it a no elbow day?
I think it is. I think it's a no elbow day. What if we do it like this? There we go. Also, do you have those times where like I was always so jealous of people who, like, just as a relaxed, like, resting pose, they'll have one arm kind of behind their back and they'll be gripping the elbow of their other arm and they'll just stand like that. And my little T-Rex arms don't let me do that. So I have, like, I never draw people in that pose because I'm like, I can't wrap my brain around how this actually works.
So I'm not quite wrapping my brain around what it is you're describing. So is it like when they put their arms behind their back or like that?
Yes, that, but then let one arm hang down. So you're gripping the one arm. Yeah, like that, but behind your back. Yep.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah. And just like, I see people just chilling like that. I'm like,
like that?
Yeah. Yeah. But I never draw characters like that because it doesn't make sense in my brain.
I remember I used to sit like that a lot, or like stand like that a lot when I was younger and scrawny. But now it feels weird because it's like, no, that's the opposite direction that I want my back to stretch.
Yes.
Or it's one of those like, oh, okay, are we doing like an arm lift? Are we like doing that thing where we like stretch out our back muscles?
Oh,
like that's what it reminds me of now. Yeah, to me that seems like more of a young kid pose, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, but I think that's a fun, again, how certain poses have a certain visual language to them that makes the audience think of something like, you know, the hunched shoulders or the poor posture. Like, you're either working off of a sad or scared character or you're working off of like a slouchy teenager. Like, I enjoy the visual language of that.
Yeah. The kind of visual shorthand where you can immediately get across like, oh no, this is a villain, this is a good guy, shy, scared, small.
Yes.
Insecure.
Bag of sticks. You know, the usual ones.
Yeah, I mean, that personality codifier. Bag of sticks.
Bag of sticks.
Also, kind of a little mean. Like, who's describing him that way?
I know.
Was his name Joe?
No.
What was his name?
His name is Kennedy.
Kennedy. It's like, hey, Kennedy, did anyone ever tell you? You look like a bag of sticks.
Look like a bag of sticks. Oh, it's so good.
It seems like a Terry Pratchett describer.
Yes. Yes. All right.
Every third Tuesday, he would eat a fried egg for breakfast, and he had the general disposition of a bag of sticks. Just like, yep.
Also, I love something like that because it's a descriptor and it makes me feel a way about a person, but I don't know what I'm actually feeling. Like, it feels like it should give me information about them, but it doesn't.
I don't know. I think it gives me just enough information to know that I might not really want to meet Kennedy. We might not have a lot in common, him and I.
That's very fair.
That did not work. Come here, you.
So in chat, Jessie Bet says, Mom was interior designer, Dad was graphic designer. Both disappointed that I didn't want to go to a real school and get an actual degree. I mean, our school was real. It existed in the real world. We got degrees from it. It just doesn't exist now.
Nope.
But I still maintain that home life set me up to be an artist. That's interesting.
Home life? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I came from very different, I mean, both of my parents worked jobs as civil servants. So my mom was a letter carrier, my dad was a firefighter, amongst other things that they do, but there was not a lot of art, and specifically visual art, in my growing up from them.
And that's true. I have often, not in any way that, you know, keeps me up at night, but I've often wondered, it's like, did I get into art simply because I had always been, as a child, in my mom's art studio, like working on things, and, you know, little kid art, obviously, very different, but, you know, it was always just kind of an idea. If she was not an artist and if I didn't have access to that, would I have become an artist? I didn't feel pressured, but also I might have been pressured and just not known it. Because as a kid, I was very much blind to that kind of thing.
Oh, goodness. Yes. Yes. I was blind to so many things. I was delightfully naive.
I would say that I'd leave off the word delightfully, but yes, naive is a very accurate descriptor.
I would say it's in sarcastic italics where I was delightful because I look back and I was just like, what were you doing? Yeah. Okay, well, here's my turn to ask a really challenging question because this is the day of it. Do you ever regret going into art or
Oh,
making it
me?
up? Yeah.
So it was always going to be either art or, funny enough, zoology was the other
Ooh.
thing that I was super into. And I mean, Jesus, if you thought I was annoying before, you didn't know me when I was like obsessed about animals and could vomit out every single animal fact you didn't want to know. Um, but yeah, so it was zoology for a long time. I don't know why I ended up focusing, because I had the opportunity to go to both and ended
Okay.
up choosing art. And there's a lot of reasons, like tangential butterfly effect things that happened. But to answer your question full, no, I've absolutely never regretted going to the Art Institute specifically. Um, I felt like a very good time there, and I learned exactly what I needed to learn there to do what I ended up doing. Um, Career wise, I feel like there's a couple paths that I probably would have liked to have gone down. Like, I never looked into internships for larger studios, and I always kind of regret that I never did any sort of internships. Um, Sometimes I regret not staying in video games because while I do love working in TV, um, it's not as like what you were saying before about creating things that people love. It's like no one loves the nightly news. I mean, some people do, but we're, you
It's
know,
it's a different sort
Ethel
of
and
love.
Herbert in,
They do love it.
Iowa are
They
not
love it so much.
necessarily the people that I'm concerned about. Um, but that's not a good enough reason to like, oh, why do you work in video games? Oh, because I want my peers to like what I do. That's not a good reason.
I get
Um,
that.
but yeah, so I might regret certain career changes, but I've never regretted going into art. Like I said, I knew I was always either going to do art or zoology from a very early age. So I was very fortunate, lucky that I wasn't one of those students in high school that didn't know what they wanted to do. I was like, nope, I know exactly what I want to do from junior high. I just have to choose between these two things.
Yes. That I remember when my sister was starting to look at going to college and she wasn't sure what she wanted to do. And it was weird for me because I think she didn't ask me specifically, like, how did you know or anything like that, but she was just talking about, like, how did you decide? And I had that moment where I had to really sit back and be like, did I actively decide or did I just kind of already know? And then it was just, like you said, figuring out the actual trajectory of, like, okay, how do we actually make this happen? Um, but yeah, it was an interesting, I realized how lucky I am to have been so certain of what I wanted to do and to go into that. Um,
Because I'm sure, like you, I had friends in high school that didn't.
yeah, 100%.
And, to see them struggling and to try to figure out, and like, okay, well, I'll just go to a college and I'll take a bunch of gen ed classes and then hopefully figure out what I want to do. Yes, I see you. Yes, you're very cute.
Oh, squeak.
It's because it's not quite dinner time, but if you don't get harassed at least an hour before dinner time, I won't feed them. Clearly.
Yes, Mom, you will clearly forget and I will die.
But yeah, I kind of lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, people are in high school trying to figure out what they wanted to do, and or I'll just go to a generic college and take a bunch of gen eds or something like that. And it's like I was glad that I was fortunate enough to know what I wanted.
Yes. Yep. Also, I give students nowadays a lot of credit because I feel like if they are unsure of what they want to do, they're not opposed to taking a year off and working an internship or working a regular job. And I never felt like that was an option when I was in school. Like, it was the like, no, you have to go, and you have to go right now. Like, there was some weird thing where if you took a gap year, you'd lose so much momentum and you'd never be able to get it back.
That was the mentality, wasn't it? Like,
it was, and it wasn't from my parents. Like, they didn't follow a traditional trajectory in their careers or their college. So, like, it wasn't from them, but that was just this overarching feeling where I was like, don't think about doing that because you'll never get back.
yeah, I felt like that was kind of the prevailing mentality too. And I was almost undeservingly prideful that I didn't. Like, I didn't take a gap year. I went straight from high school, graduated in, what is that, June or whatever, and then immediately went into college in October. That October, and I barely even had a summer between. And like, I was so proud. I was like, why? Like, what is wrong with taping? Especially now after COVID, with my students. I even say, like, I don't envy you guys. You have some horribly bad, it's going to be a bad decision no matter what you do, to continue schooling if you need online classes or to take a gap year. It's hard.
Yep. Yeah,
But yeah, it would have been nice to do like a gap year to save some more money, but then also, like you said, internships and stuff like that.
And I think so you talk about I should have taken the summer off. I graduated from high school like the 25th of June, and classes at the Art Institute started the second week of July, and I was there. And
Oh,
I'm like,
you started this summer?
yes, because I'm an idiot. And I don't recommend it because I was like, you should have taken your summer, dummy. But also, even during that time, we had the option to take a quarter off. I should have taken a quarter off. I hit burnout so hard. By the time I was done with school, like, I couldn't function, and yeah. So
here I am thinking like, oh, I'm undeservingly proud of not taking, and then you're just like, nope, I don't even sleep.
I was even dumber than you previously knew. Yeah. Yep. That's also why I graduated with nobody that I was close to, because I think I graduated with like the class that would have been like right before us, rather than with our whole crew of people that I was in every class with. So.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. So you did graduate, and you did the 5 classes the whole way through, if I remember correctly.
Yes, like an idiot. So
I'm not calling you Nunu.
No, I'm
calling you dedicated.
Calling me dead is what I was pretty much. I think so. My personal frustration and my like looking back on stuff, and we talked about this on the podcast. If you could go back and go to a different college, do a different thing, what would you do? And my whole thing was, I was like, one, I would take a year off after high school and go and do something, even if it was just work. I'd just work. I'd just get a little bit of life experience, and I would, ideally, with the knowledge I have now, I would go back and I would go to like Savannah College of Art and Design that has a specific illustration for comics program. Like,
oh, yeah.
I would have had that time. But also, like, my complaint to my former self is that I was so young and so green, and so much of what we were learning so fast, and none of it was able to ever really permeate into me and my brain and my art style before we were moving on to something else. So much of the lessons from school, I started like understanding in my mid to late 20s.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So, like, it's frustrating to me that I, pushed so hard and pushed through it so fast that I don't think I had time to grow up or really grow as an artist in that environment. So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I would have. I like the college I went to. I have no regrets there. I do think that I should have tried for some colleges further away, kind of like what you're saying, like the better life experience. Pittsburgh was still far enough away that I didn't go home regularly. But it would have been nice to travel even further away. I'm not saying I could get into any of the animation colleges in California, but I'm kind of sad I didn't at least try.
Yes.
Like I found a comfort and I kind of stayed within that comfort.
Yes.
And yeah, that would have been kind of a nice thing to try to like you were saying, experience and travel a little bit more, travel outside of the comfort zone a little bit further.
Yeah, there was, for who I was at that time, I was too scared to go that far away because I looked at a school in Florida and I was like, I can't do that. That's the
Was
only
it
way.
the Ringling School?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had some friends that went there.
I was like, I can't just go home. And not that I did or could in Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh was 5 hours away from where I live.
Yeah.
My family could get there in a day without having to fly. But yeah, I wish I would have allowed myself the space to go farther away and live it differently. But like you said, I don't regret my time at college. I've met some of my closest friends, my longest friendships, and the education side that I got, a lot of it is really, really great and is still stuff I use and teach to this day. So
Also, to jump back, when I was saying how the only other option I could think for myself at that time was zoology. No, I wouldn't know if someone said like, "Oh, here's a full ride scholarship. Do you want to do like this zoology program?" Now I would say no because back then I didn't realize what it all entailed and how. Because I have some friends that like went that avenue. And it's one of those things where, yeah, we all want to be in the jungles saving tigers and tagging elephants, but no, you're
being
probably going to work at the city zoo, the state zoo, and that is still very rewarding, but it's not what you set out for. And also, I don't think now, I'm sure if I had grown into it, it would have been fine. But I look back and I was like, would I have wanted to sleep in a tent with no running water in the middle of the African savannah just so I could like stay there a month for the one opportunity to like tag a lion? Would I have wanted to like have to get malaria and typhoid shots and all those? Current me knows I would not have been strong enough to do that. Also, then I have some, like I said, some friends that went through the course, and it's like, yeah, you can always work, in zoology and take that to a zoo, and that's really rewarding because obviously you still get to work with those large animals, just not, then you get to go home and use a shower. But the smells that apparently you smell when you're working as a zoologist in a zoo and you're taking care of some of those animals are so ungodly awful that like the human brain can't even comprehend them. And that is just the one thing I was like, man, I always thought I wanted to go into zoology. And they're like, what drives people away the fastest is when you first get there and you do your internship and then you smell it.
That's really
and
funny.
I was like, you know what? Also true. Don't know if I have that strength of stomach.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I remember so many of my friends wanted to be veterinarians. And it was funny to me because like I grew up around horses, so I was used to like the larger farm animal side of veterinary stuff. And their thing was always like, yeah, I just want to play with the puppies and the kitties all day. And I'm just like, I'm pretty sure, like, I know you can go for one specialty or the other, but I'm pretty sure you have to learn both at some point. And I was like, I feel like there's going to be a really rude awakening for you there when you realize you're like, this puppy is not friendly and it's 1,000 pounds and it's actually a horse. Oh, God.
Right. Also, you don't always, I never wanted to go into, because, when you're a little kid and you say, I love animals and I want to work in zoology, they're like, oh, you want to become a veterinarian? Because that's all adults have, any association with. It's like, no, Aunt Karen, I don't. I want to become a zoologist and help conservation efforts, not to give flea and tick medicine to cats and dogs. But yeah, I knew I didn't want to be veterinarian, mainly also because it wasn't the animals that I wanted, but also because I don't think I had the strength to do what veterinarians do, because they sometimes have to do some pretty not fun things.
Yep.
And I just knew that I didn't have the strength for that either. So yeah, I have the strength to pull all-nighters and have a ridiculous amount of financial risk involved if I don't get my work done by the specific deadline. I have the strength of will to sit at a computer for like 20 hours straight, never get up, and get tendonitis in your elbow. But that's it. That's where my strength lies.
Yep. So you talk about that, realizing I knew I could never work in healthcare, and specifically geriatric healthcare. Like, that was when I was like, no, I'm positive that I could not survive in this environment. Like, I just, no, I know this about myself. I will not be good at it, and it will not be good for me. And I am so appreciative and amazed by the people who do it, because it's baffling to me.
Yeah, that whole like fortitude, like the you hold a pen. All right, I don't know how this kid holds a pencil. No, that's a good point too. I knew I could never do nursing. I absolutely knew that I was never going to be able to do that. And by association, yeah, that's why I didn't want to do veterinary, is because I could never do nursing.
Yep.
So kudos to the nurses out there.
100%.
I also knew I wasn't ever going to want to do, like, you get your high school job, and then it's like, customer service, dealing with people. Nurses, the amount of dealing with people. Nope, no thank you.
Yeah. The amount of time as an adult that I have spent in some sort of customer service industry, I'm just like, why? Why do we keep doing this? Why? This is a bad place. This is the bad place.
Why do humans want to be around each other? Why are we pack animals? Why don't we just want to be solo creatures roaming the land? But yeah, didn't do zoology. Did the other thing instead.
So Kruggles from chat also, hi, hello. I'm glad your power hour was back today. Said she's chatting with Mike, her husband, a while ago, that part of her wishes she would have tried for a better quote unquote school. I could have gotten in pretty much anywhere, but felt depressed and trapped, and knew I could get in where I did, so I just did. And yeah, I think that's a big part of it. I think the fact that some of the schools that I thought about applying to charged you $50 for the application made me...
That's right, they used to do that.
Yeah, they did. And so, like, on top of my already, like, self-doubt, I'm just like, oh my god, what if I make my parents pay $50 for this application and then I don't get it? Like, I can't apply to all these schools. Like, no.
I did have a thing where both my parents went to the same college, as did my aunt, as did my grandma, as did my uncle, like, whole family thing. And so I was alumni, like, guaranteed. It was a thing where it's like, no, they've already acknowledged when you were born, you have a guaranteed admission into this school. It was Mount Union College. It's in Ohio. Because so much of the family has been there, you can immediately go to this
legacy.
College. Oh, that's the word, legacy. Thank you.
Yes.
I couldn't remember what it was called. Yeah. So I was a legacy kid, and that was always really nice. For one reason is because, okay, I know that I'll at least get into something. But it was nice, not nice in the sense that my parents were always like, no, you're going to college. We paid to go to college, and now you're a legacy, and now you have to go to college. So it was one of those kind of things. I always had to go to college. But I think I probably, if I had never encountered any of the art programs that I was able to get into in high school, probably would have ended up at Mount Union. if I was one of those kids that, you know, didn't know what they wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what I would have been. That would be an interesting thing, because I did go to Mount Union and I did look at their art program, and it was less of, hey, here's how you can design a really good logo, and more so, hey, here's how you can make an abstract piece that is a metaphorical representation of the word hope. I was like, maybe not for me. Thanks, guys. See you. Bye. And I remember even coming out of, because they let me sit in on the class to see if it was something I wanted to do. And I remember coming out of the class, and my mom could tell from my look on my face that I was just miserable.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, glad I didn't do the Mount Union option.
Oh, that was me coming out of a portfolio review for Pratt. Was it Pratt Institute?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think I'm trying to remember if they specifically had animation or not. It's been so many years, I don't remember. But whatever I had said I wanted to get into, what I take away from it now is that my portfolio didn't reflect that. But also, you know, I'm 17 and my high school didn't have, like, we had a lot of great art there, but I hadn't done Photoshop. Like, there's a whole chunk of stuff that I had never touched because my high school didn't have it. And any of the art programs I sought out outside of it didn't have it. So there's stuff I was missing, and they were brutal, emphasis on brutal, brutally honest about it. And it definitely, I know that scared me with the applications. It scared me with some of the other schools where I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, where the art institute was just like, we love you, you're great, come here. And I'm like, really? You like my stuff?
Like me.
You like me? I didn't know it was a
It's true. They caught you with kindness.
They did. They did. They were so excited about it. I'm like, oh, thanks.
It's kind of really heartwarming. I mean, we also know that it was part of their whole thing now, but they were so accepting.
Yep.
Yeah, I had the same thing happen where, because I was in Northern Ohio, you know, my mom was obviously like, well, you have to apply to the Cleveland Institute of Art as well. Or the Cleveland Art, it was called something else. It wasn't called, because it wasn't part of the Art Institutes. It was its own thing. So she made me apply to that, and I had the same thing where they like ripped apart my portfolio. And part of it was because, yeah, it legitimately was needed to be ripped apart because it's a high school kid's portfolio, but also because they were grading it on a fine art level, and it's kind of like, no, this is commercial art, but thanks.
Yeah.
The same thing. And then I did CC80, which was the Columbus School of Art and Design, and they had an animation program. And I remember, same thing. Portfolio was just, it was okay, you know, but it was really good because then you know what you have to work on, and then you work your ass off, and then you reapply.
Yes.
When you're a junior, because that was when you were because did you start looking when you were a sophomore? Because I remember they were always like, oh, when you're a sophomore in high school is when you should start college shopping. And you should, this is what we were taught at least, is like you should know where you're going to college by senior year.
Yes, I do remember that. So, yes, a little bit, but part of the reason that I was already looking at schools is because for the summer before my sophomore year, and then the summer before, so for 2 summers, so it must have been before sophomore, before junior, I went to the Art Institute and did their summer program for high schoolers.
Oh, I did that too, yeah.
So that was
where
another
you like
part
sit
of
in on a couple classes.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
That was cool.
It was cool. And it was honestly, for, as we've talked about, all the super shadiness of the Art Institutes, like, it was a really neat opportunity. And it was a very cool way to get exposed to this specific college and what they had to offer. And a lot of the stuff, like, I really genuinely enjoyed those summer experiences at the college. I don't know what to call it. I don't even remember what they're called. But I think again, in my hyper laser focus, that was the only school I did that at. So I was kind of already thinking of that school because I had had those experiences and didn't really allow my brain to genuinely consider other options.
I mean, they were really good about reeling us in.
Sales pitch top notch, 100%. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I liked those summer courses a lot. And I try to like make friends. I don't think I ever met any of the other people that went to those summer courses ever again.
No.
But I remember sitting in, and it was one of the animation classes, and there was a term used that I had never heard before. And the teacher even said, throughout this term, is like, if you don't know what that is, then what are you even doing here? And I was like, what am I even doing here? So yes, I should have already known. The term was tweening, by the way. That was it was like
That's
just,
not a common term.
but it was like, oh, well, if you're applying to be in like an animation, you should at least know what tweening is. And I was like, I don't know what tweening is, but it did make me like research then, like a lot more. And I think that was good because I had a bit of a misunderstanding about like how much animation is. So I researched, and then I still, for some reason, went for it. It has worked out so far.
Yeah, I feel like some of it can't be understated, that some of my success is just genuine dumb luck and being too stubborn to stop. Like,
100%. 100%. Yep.
but yeah, just I remember being in class in college at one point, and the professor was criticizing the class because we didn't know some names of very famous animators in the industry. And now looking back as an educator, like I get it, because knowing the history of it really does inform a lot of these things. Watching people's careers is an interesting and valuable thing. What I would like to submit for the record is that the internet was not what it is now. And
Nope.
so many of these people, I was like, if you didn't specifically watch the credits of Disney movies, how would you know who Glenn Keane was? Like, you would have had to luckily happen upon an ABC Family special that was talking, like, him being interviewed and talking about what characters he worked on. Like, there wasn't a way to just go and search for these people and follow their social medias. Like, that wasn't how it worked. So obviously, I'm still carrying this with me from 2005, 2006.
I will never let this die, damn it.
Never let this die. But it was one of those where I remember feeling so shameful that there's this whole chunk of stuff that I didn't know, and these people that I didn't know. And it felt like the biggest, like, you failed because you don't know these things. And I'm just like, oh my God, I don't know. But
that worked on me. They were really good. I felt that shame.
Oh, 1,000%. Clearly, again, as I still have a very specific memory of this, I felt the shame for years. As an educator now, though, what I try to do in my classroom is give the students some of this information. Say, hey, here are some people you really should learn about. Also, here's how you research them. Here's how you go about finding this information, which was, for me, again, I'm dumb dodo and have stupid moments. Like, I didn't understand that link. So that was something I had to learn about how I needed to learn. So yeah, like, it was great. Like, the shame worked on me. Like, you should know these things. I'm like, okay, great. And
the shame. I felt that shame.
Because I don't know how to find out this information. That was something that was so beyond what I understood how to do. So yeah, we'll call them teachable moments. That's what we'll call them.
Learning by fire and shame.
Oh, I love that George R.R. Martin book.
Right? I learned a lot. I probably learned, like you were saying, not knowing how to do it and feeling shame for it. So it's an unhealthy way to learn, but I learned. So it's kind of like, did it work? Yes. So is it bad? Also, yes.
Both
Did it
are
work?
true.
Yes, it did work. But did it have to work that way? I don't know.
Yeah.
So I look back on it and I'm kind of torn 50-50 of like, would I have liked a more not coddled, but structured
And
other than the shame? But then I might not have motivated, because I know back then I was mostly motivated by my fear of disappointing other people. Like,
yep. Yeah. So much.
I even got in a conversation with someone just very recently about online classes and like, oh, could you have done online classes? And I was like, when I was in school, no, because I needed the disappointment in my instructor's face to like feel that guilt. And I have to get this done because I can't, like, I don't want to disappoint them.
Yep. It's entertaining to me in retrospect how you and I were living the same experience throughout that. Yeah, no,
Same unhealthy, bad coping mechanism experience.
so bad. So bad. Taking all of those comments so personally. Uh yeah, I think so. I had an interesting conversation with a friend recently who he is actually starting to teach some animation courses. And it was such a random, he's like, "Hey, wait, didn't you go to school for animation?" I was like, "I did. What do you want to know?" But what I threw out to
You
him,
want to go down this rabbit hole with me?
here we go. Um, I was like, what I want to throw out to you is something that would have helped me. And that was, and it ties back into what we talked about earlier, is I didn't come to college with 15 of my own OCs. I didn't have elaborate storylines for
Nope.
all of these characters. And so when on the spot we were asked to design a character, design motivation, design a story, I got so stuck on that because I was so unprepared for that part that it hurt my eventual ability to create the art because of it. Because I had to push through pre-production so fast to get to production, stuff wasn't well thought out. Like, and it meant that my animations weren't as well thought out because everything was always such a push. So I was like, just keep in mind that there might be some people who could even, like, I will never forget the day the one teacher put up just a whole bunch of different like random lists of things, and he's like, pick one from each column, and what it opened up for me in my brain was like, oh my gosh, now I can do it. I just needed that like kick start to kind of get into it because I just didn't have that part of my creativity developed yet. So to stack that on top of having to figure that out, then having to also challenge technique that I didn't understand well yet because I was learning it, and fight the perfectionism, like, yeah, there was there was some struggle happening. But yeah.
When you were saying how, yeah, you didn't come in, I also was that way. And I kind of felt a little like I was the odd man out or broken because I didn't come in saying like, hey, here's this, 18 chapter creative story that I want to animate into like my own movie. And I'm going to like definitely learn how to do this and get a studio. And this is going to become like the magnum opus of my life. And here's all my characters. And let me tell you about them because it's so interesting. And I'm not trying to make fun of those people because, that's most people. But I didn't have that. I was like, I didn't write stories. I didn't have characters, and I felt kind of weird and broken because even now I'll watch characters like I'm just throwing this out there because it's the first thing I remember, like Alex Hirsch, who's the creator of Gravity Falls, and he loves to talk about how he came up with this story, and a lot of it is like he already went into school knowing that eventually he wanted to like write a story about these two twins that were pretty much him and his twin sister and like the wacky shenanigans therein. I always felt kind of broken that I didn't have a story that I wanted to tell. I was like, no, I'm perfectly happy telling someone else's story.
Yes.
I want to do the creation. Storytelling is not my strong suit. Give me a rough concept and I can run with that, but I need the structure. I need the box.
Yes. Yes, because so much of what I loved about animation in my head before I got to school was, let me take this anime character, let me take this Disney character that I already love and animate them in a scene, or animate them doing something, or draw them doing something. That makes sense to me. but to come into it and have like, no fan art allowed. And I was like, but I don't know. I don't have characters to pull from then to do these things. So yes, I equally felt broken and like I was missing some part of me that I needed to be successful.
Yeah, it's an odd feeling. Did not enjoy that.
No. No.
Did not enjoy being the one that didn't have their. And I thought for a long time that that's what you needed to succeed. It's like, oh, you have to have your own story to tell, and then you move forward because that gives you the motivation. And that's all it was. Is I was misunderstanding having a story with having a motivation.
Yeah.
Because that was the primary motivation for a lot of the students that had those stories. Is the motivation was to get their story told. Then I just realized that I needed a different motivation. But yeah, for a long time I thought that that was the only motivation that mattered. I had to learn that.
Yep. So much of that, like, there's part of me that wishes I could go back and just kind of like hug college Emily, because she was having a rough time a lot of the time. And like, I just want to tell her that it will be okay. Like, we'll get through this, we'll figure it out. But yeah, the constant pressure of feeling like you had to be so good at so many of the elements of production, and I just wasn't, and therefore then I felt like none of my skills were valuable. I was like, I am terrible at 3D modeling. Like, I can come up with these characters, I can come up with these ideas, but I can't bring it to life in the computer because it's not drawing, and I was good at drawing, and now you're asking me to write code, which is not drawing. And yeah, but
stop making me do the things my brain doesn't want to do.
Doesn't want to do it. Yeah. No, felt broken a lot of the time. Also, Guardian Randy makes an excellent point. When we were in school and in the art field at the time, digital art was incredibly new.
That's true too.
Yeah, like I teach a summer camp this year. The camp that I taught was a digital art camp. My campers aged from age 6 to age 12. I wouldn't touch a tablet until I was in high school. And that wasn't even a draw on the screen tablet. That was a draw on it and then look up at the screen to draw on there. Like, yeah. So it's a very different world. All right. I think I'm gonna call it with my two characters. I like them. I feel good. I'm also intimidated by the no name one, so she might need a little bit more time. But yeah, I'm pleased with what we've accomplished. And we've had such a lovely therapy session.
We do tend to do that a lot, and I feel kind of bad about it every single time. I keep telling myself, like, we're not going to, like, divulge into AIP drama talk this time. We're not going to do it. But maybe that's just what happens.
Yep.
We have to find more in common hobbies that we can, like...
Yes. Oh, too funny. Okay. Are you ready for show and tell?
Give me 1 sec. I'm not sure why this isn't doing the thing I want it to do just right now. There we go. That's because I was on the wrong thing.
Dave. Haha.
All right. Yes, I also only have 2. I unfortunately didn't get to Aaron, the rhino murderer from Saturn with troll hair. I do kind of regret that.
That's okay. We can bring back random character generator. I always enjoy it. Because literally, as what we were just talking about, it takes away the part of me that isn't always great on the spot and lets me do the stuff that I like doing. So, yeah. All right.
Which is the character generation part?
The actual, like, bringing these characters to life and developing their visual personality. Like, that's what I love. So give me these... Give me this appropriate pen that I play in, and then I will just run laps around it and be content.
Yeah, like that's the structure is, yeah. Like the little playpen.
Yep. Just give me my structure, and then, yeah. Also, I love, Randall says, put a nickel in the AIP jar for every mention of it. We would be so wealthy.
We need to start doing it. Can we go an entire session without mentioning college?
Yep. Gotta get some new people who went to other schools on our show.
Right?
So we can see, I'm like, what was your college experience like? Were we living the same life, or was ours really as weird as I think it was?
Well, apparently you and I had much closer experiences than either of us realized, so one might hope that other people are the same. Or maybe not hope, because we wouldn't want that on them.
I would not wish my college experience on anyone. No. The insanity in the tutor lab, yes. That I would wish on people, because that's some of the most genuine friend bonding I've ever experienced. But some of the other stuff, no.
Give and take.
Yes. All right. Oh, so much cat hair. So much. Yeah. We'll get Vic back on the stream. I know Megan went to a different school. There's some of them. You can also
They're out there. They're out there somewhere.
They do exist. Yeah, you can go.
It does exist. Wow.
The whole interview series that I did between seasons 1 and 2. Everybody I talked to, one of the first questions was, "Did you go to the Art Institute, or did you have a healthy college experience?" So
it wasn't that bad. No, it was just memorable.
Yes. Yes. I like that. All right. So I just love the way that you do, like, glowing magic. So good.
Oh, the little light things.
Yeah,
it's good. Fun. I like doing it.
I love it.
All right. So should I present my little characters?
Yeah. Let's see. Let me show you right there. There it is.
So this one is Jamie Orts, 19 years old, a magical author. So I have the pen, obviously, with the magic, trying to make it look like it's writing, kind of like a la the Secret of Nim.
Yeah.
And then addicted to caffeine. I probably should have done more with the caffeine, but balancing of course, cold brew. Colorful. I probably could have shoehorned in more color, but also color theory is a thing. So I did pretty colorful. And then false eyebrows, which I just took as very okay, I'm not going to get on a shoebox here, but I just got to say something real quick. When we were growing up, the thing was the super thin eyebrows, the one hair thick eyebrows. And then it turned into these kind of thick au naturel eyebrows. They were called, I think, the French brow. And then I'm not talking about fads. I'm talking about the fashionable eyebrow. And now it's these perfectly tailored arched eyebrows. But it's so funny because there's so many TikTok videos how to do the perfect brow. And we keep looking at them and I keep thinking this is just the fad for now. And there's women that have these perfect arch eyebrows with it's a perfect line and it gradiates out like a beautiful Photoshop gradient. And they then get those tattooed or they get it done. And I'm it can't stay that way. What's the next eyebrow trend? What's it going to be?
Yep.
And I don't know. I think it's because I've always had a hate relationship with my eyebrows. Because they're just fuzzy caterpillars that will not be tamed. So I have this thing with eyebrows. So when I saw that it said fake eyebrows, I'm I'm going to give you the chiseled, that's what I consider a fake eyebrow. I thought about just gluing a bird to the eyebrow, but no, we're doing these chiseled eyebrows. Just because it's a thing. I don't understand. I understand them. They do look pretty. When those stupid TikTokers do the glorious eyebrow that takes an hour. It takes them an hour to do one eyebrow and they look beautiful. But then caveman eyebrows is going to be the next eyebrow.
Yeah, I can't I enjoy doing eye makeup to an extent, but you get that half hour mark for me and I'm I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I am bored now and would like to do anything else with my life. And I can't imagine them. But yeah, it was funny to me with TikTok in seeing all of the elder millennials come on and just being like, my eyebrows still never grew back. Like, we plucked them so much, they never came
No,
back.
you're right. They didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. What was it? I was watching a movie just the other day. God, I think it was like Legally Blonde or something, and how thin her eyebrow is in
Mm-hmm.
those movies, and it just like takes you aback for a minute. You're like, why does her eyebrow look so? Oh, that's why
Yep.
we did
Yep.
that.
We did that. I'm going to say the fashion industry did that to us.
I do not miss the thin plucked eyebrow. I can't say I love the current like chiseled eyebrow, but I have just this like watching a train wreck thing with eyebrows. Anyway, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Didn't realize I was going to get into an eyebrow soapbox today.
Oh, I love it. It's those weird things where you're like, okay, but I just need to talk about this very specific thing.
Yeah, just give me a minute, guys. I just have to get this off my chest. Just let me go. Let me have this. All right, and then this was my other character. This was Wallace Jones. I didn't get to inking him, so he is a little missing. I was supposed to come in here and like fix his hair in here. But anyway, he is a 84-year-old angel who has crazy gray hair, very much similar to Doc Wallace, and then has a fear of ducks. I think he had one other thing in his descriptor that I wasn't able to. Oh, he's from Leeds and he can only smile when the weather's hot. But smiling was not congruent with fear of duck.
Right. So. No, it's good. I like his very uncertain look at the duck. Like, there's great tension happening between the two characters.
And also, I wanted to make it like a chase scene, but then I figured that he would be outrun by a duck. Ducks are actually much faster than I think they are.
Yeah, they're unexpectedly fast. But no, I enjoy it. Also, I don't know, there's something like with his crazy hair and the wing, like I like how sketchy it is. I don't know. It just looks very cool. And the slippers are great. Yeah.
And the tennis ball. Yes. So those were the two characters, and again, the one I did not get to was Erin, the lady from Saturn who had troll hair and is striving to redeem herself after pushing a rhino off a cliff. Maybe that'll be my redemption.
Yes. I love it. And hey, if people want to see more of your stuff or contact you, where can they find you?
Yep. So I go by Kia or Kia Creations on Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, things like that. So feel free to look me up.
Hooray. All right. Hooray. Okay, so starting off with Moira.
Moira.
I
love that name.
It's so good. And so Moira is 17 and is a good teenager from Toronto, which is why I tossed the little maple leaf in there at some point. Because I'm like, I don't know how you represent that someone's from Toronto.
Very clever.
But she can only fly after she has eaten a banana. So that's where the banana came in. She usually wears a shoulder parrot, which I like the idea of not being sure if it's a real parrot or a fake parrot. Like, that's a fun, could be fun.
Yeah.
And again, the thing that I didn't get to incorporate is she is trying to redeem herself after stealing a loaf of bread whilst abroad on holiday. So yeah, she's I wasn't sure how to get that in there along with everything else, so I did skip that one.
My logistics question is the flying after eating a banana voluntary or involuntary? Like, does it just happen? Does she have to avoid things with bananas in them, or else she'll just start flying?
Oh, I like that. See, I was debating. I was like, okay, so is it like, are we going just standard and like she has to eat a banana before she gets on an airplane, or is this like,
oh, I didn't think about that. I'm thinking superpowers.
Well, so that's what was my other thought. I was like, or does she have to eat a banana before then she physically like flies herself? I was like, how magical do we want to get?
No, I was totally thinking that she had the power of flight, but she had to eat a banana. Like, the potassium is what allowed her to levitate.
I mean, clearly everyone knows that the potassium is the key element to flying. I love that. That's so fun. I absolutely love the idea of it being unplanned. And like all of a sudden she's eating something and she didn't realize banana was in there. Like, it's a smoothie and part of it was banana, and all of a sudden she just like flies into the window, like out the door. Like, yeah.
Does she have choices of where she flies, or can she only fly to like, Colombia or someplace where there are natural banana trees?
I love it. And then the other character is Kennedy Lopez. He is a fascinating father from Perth. He is obsessed with ghosts, which you can see from his little manila folder thing full of ghost notes. I realized that the descriptor was fascinating, but there was so much else about him that struck me as very normal. So apparently, I just made him very normal. So maybe he's just a really great conversationalist. We'll go with that. And he is the physicality of being built like a collection of sticks. And his purpose in life is to prevent the apocalypse. So I like with him that he feels very much like he feels like a book character to me, and he feels like the description is relatively simple, but then the adventures that you go on just like build more and more. So he gets to be a little bit of the plain guy while the insanity and expansive nature of the world is happening around him. So I don't know. I kind of like him. I don't
And
know.
he has his towel.
He has his towel. And then the unnamed character that I didn't get to do is the crazy, aloof, big ear. Well, yeah, that was my thing. Yeah, she's got a cold-hearted feel about her, and yeah, she's got long, hip-length gray hair, dyed cyan. So yeah, she was gonna be very stoic, and I really wanted her to have armor. And then I realized I was like, I don't want to draw armor today. So
Fair. That's fair.
yep.
Today's an elbow day. It's not an armor day.
Exactly. Exactly. This was so much fun, though. Thank you for joining us for Random Character Generator. We will absolutely do this prompt again because I love it. So if there's any other random character generators you'd like to see us use, or if you'd like to know which ones we used, just hit us up. We are at Doodle Crew Draw all across the internet. Also, check out our link tree if you have any questions about any of the artists. All of the episodes end up over on my YouTube page. There's a folder and a playlist for each season, as well as the interview series that I mentioned earlier. And hopefully, fingers crossed, I will get better about publishing and updating when new episodes are going to happen, so y'all know when we're going to be back. But thank you so much. This was so much fun. So yeah, we'll see you all next time. Goodbye.